Mic check 1 2 1 2. It's the Y2K Collector. Top of the morning to you all. It's been a beautiful weekend, and I think this week is going to be even more beautiful. I think we're shaping up for some more summer-like weather, and once things start to get warm, I get encouraged. I feel that warm summer dew, that warm morning dew that just sets in. And it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful thing, especially when you live in a part of the country that is plagued with cold weather for about half the year. So for all my folks who live on the East Coast, who live in the North, you know what I'm preaching here is sound doctrine. But that being said, over the weekend, I did pick up a PlayStation 4 game. I don't typically buy PS4 games. I'm not really on the PS4 and Switch right now. I'm really in retro mode, but this was a game that I had on the PS4, The Last Guardian. This was one of the PlayStation 4 games, one of the first ones that I actually started playing. And I was really drawn to this game because of how much it reminded me of uh, Eco as well as Shadow of the Colossus. This is a very peculiar game. It plays very much like an animated movie in a sense, where I don't think you have like a typical, like you don't see like the health bar or anything like that. All you see is the player and the surrounding environment. And the surrounding environment happens to be very large and ominous. Starts off in this cage, or cave rather, and he has to pretty much assist this griffin-like beast that you see here. He kind of has to help it. I think it's injured. I kind of got through the first part of it, and then I actually wound up putting it down for a bit. And then when I did a massive sell-off of some of my more modern games, this was one of the games that got sold. So I actually wound up not being able to continue playing it. And I always told myself, you know what, I'm eventually going to get this game back because this was one that I wanted to dive into. I think it's a really interesting game, and I really like games like this. I'm drawn to large, open, ominous games like this for some reason. I don't know. I guess if I were to be able to dive into a game, this is probably the type of area I'd want to be in. So, um, to each his own, right? To each his own. But that being said, I will say that my sales are picking up online. So I've actually been able to make some sales, which is great because that allows me to recoup even more of what was spent on some of the retro games that I've added. Um, I am putting together a sell box. I have been able to play some of the games that I picked up. Not every game that I purchased was a game that I could return because I either got it at a yard sale or a thrift store. And I told myself, once I get this game in, if I play it and I like it, I'll go ahead and keep it. And I've mentioned on the channel before that I'm not trying to sell anything retro. So anything that is in my collection that's a retro game, for the most part, I am keeping it. If I do decide to sell anything, it's going to be something more modern. But I do have exceptions to that rule. And the exception is really going to be games that I just don't think are that fun, right? So I've got a couple examples here of games that I think I'm going to be selling. One is this Mario Duck Hunt. So I already have Super Mario Bros. And I was thinking about getting the light. Well, I actually have a light gun. So I do have a Nintendo light gun for the Duck Hunt. It's just a matter of getting a CRT TV. So I don't really know if I'm going to be able to get my hands on a CRT TV anytime soon. Um, for a couple reasons. One, they're getting they're expensive right now, right? I think anyone who has one knows that people are getting these TVs to be able to play their light gun games. So not really sure if I'm going to be picking one of those up. On top of that, the label on this one is a little rough. So I'm a little bit of a stickler for stuff like that, especially when it's going to stay in my collection. So I think I'm going to wind up selling the Mario Duck Hunt. Another game that I think I'm actually going to get rid of is Dennis the Menace. Dennis the Menace was a pickup that I made. I got it from actually a local vintage store, a vintage toy store, in fact, that's in my neighborhood that happens to also sell a few retro video games. So it was a cool pickup at the time. I brought it home and I started playing it, but the controls on this one is very basic. This game kind of reminds me of The Mask without the cool factor of it being The Mask and some of the cool moves that you get to use in the video game The Mask. So these are two games that I think I'll probably wind up selling. On top of that, I think I may also wind up selling my copy of Excitebike. Not sure if this is one that I'm going to keep as well. And to be honest with you, to be quite honest with you all, I am really on the fence about keeping Mag Max. I think it's a cool side-scrolling shooter, but there's just like limitations when it comes to like these NES games. There's just like a limit on how old school I'm willing to go with some of the graphics. And like Mag Max, Excitebike, they kind of border on that like calculator graphics level for me, which to me is just a little bit too old. So these are ones that I may wind up selling. Not too sure. They are going to go off to the side in the sell box, which actually creates a little bit more room for me with some of the other NES games that I'm trying to add and put into the collection. So we'll see how everything pans out. But again, glad to have picked up The Last Guardian. So this will go back into this box here. And this is just a box that I've got together here for all the pickups that I've got for the first half of the year. So just working on that PS3 collection. I know that eventually the PS3 is gonna get there. It's gonna become all the rage. It's gonna become really hot, and a lot of the games that we didn't care about are all of a sudden gonna matter. So I like to try my best to stay ahead of that stuff if I can. But even in doing that, I really just want to go after the quality, right? So like the Yakuza Kiwami, Infamous 2, God of War, Alice, Ninja Gaiden, Gundam 3. Like, that's really what I'm going after. I was on the fence about some of these, but they're going to stay in the collection for right now, just because my PS3 collection is really light. So really cool stuff. I'm just glad that I'm able to make some sales and kind of get a little recoup going. Definitely going to get back on the selling train. I guess, Mercari, I guess folks are okay with the extra fees that Mercari is charging, because sales are starting to pick back up again. I don't know if it's people just getting used to the added surcharges, or if it's just, I don't know. Or if it's just scarcity actually out in the field, because I put a video out yesterday. You could check it out. I actually visited one of the larger retro game stores in my area, and the quality has dropped significantly. Before, in the glass case, the games that would be behind the glass case would be, $60 to $70 and up. I'm seeing $30 to $40 games in the glass case. And when I think about things that are in the glass case, I'm not necessarily judging it based on price, but I'm thinking these are the games you want to showcase because they're your top tier games. And, a year ago, those games that are in the case would have been out open on the floor for anybody to pick them up and grab them. So it's just a sign of where we're at in terms of the collecting market. And it seems like GameStop has more exclusives and rare titles than your traditional mom and pop shop, which is a crazy flip, from what we were used to seeing a couple years ago. But it's Monday, it's a new week, it's a new opportunity to sell some stuff, acquire some stuff, go out there, find some stuff. Let me know what you're picking up. It's the Y2K Collector. Hope you have a good week. Take it easy.